In Torchlight 2, you're a hero trying to stop an evil villain. You can choose one of 4 different classes, change up your look a bit, name yourself, and pick a pet from the list of pets. Your pet will act as both a pack mule and a hardy battle companion. As you play, you can equip new and better gear onto both yourself and your pet. Pets do require special pet-only equipment though. There's a plot that you follow towards fame and glory, but there's not much story here. A guy called the Alchemist is stomping through the world and over its people, supposedly out of madness. He's ill, going crazy, and wanting a cure. I don't want to spoil what happened in Torchlight 1 or things about the final boss in Torchlight 2, however, the game is definitely not plot heavy. There's not much to its plot or characters. Instead of story, the game focuses on fighting baddies and grabbing up items. It's okay. A friend recommended Torchlight 2 to me and said it reminded him of Diablo. And I do see many similarities. You run around and kill monsters and undead, gather up dropped loot, equipment, and stones and baubles to slot into that equipment. The HP and mana are both in globes. You've got town portal scrolls to head back in when needed. A stash that looks like a treasure chest in town. The Alchemist's origin story will sound very familiar, and so on. However, I like Torchlight 2 less than I did Diablo. The look of the game is more cartoony, and I found it to be pretty generic overall. The same goes for the music and the voice acting, just everything really. It was all okay, but that was it. Just okay. For example, there were no iconic lines given right away, such as "stay a while and listen." Instead, the dialogue all felt flat, and so did the world itself.
I thank you for your warning, but it has arrived too late. This alchemist has already come and gone, and it was all I could do to prevent him from entering the Enclave. As it was, many Astharians were injured, and since the confrontation, several more have become ill. We are not sure what is causing it. After his assault failed here, the alchemist carried on southward toward the temple steps. Commander Vale and her vanquishers arrived. Commander Vale believes that the alchemist might attack the Wellspring Temple.
You have received a quest.
On standard mode, the game is way too easy. I didn't want to restart on a harder mode though, because I just wasn't that into the game. I didn't feel like redoing any of it. Instead, I wondered how much longer it would take to beat and looked up the info. How long it takes to beat varies depending on who you ask, but most estimates seem to settle on somewhere between 20 to 25 hours. That cemented my not wanting to restart the game. Even on a harder mode, I just wasn't into the setting enough to plow through a minimum of over 17 hours more. It didn't feel fun. Instead, the bland hack and slash wasn't entertaining me. With friends though, I do think that Torchlight 2 could probably be fun. In the past, I did like LAN parties with Diablo 2, so I think that this game could give a similar experience because of its play style. That said though, many games are better with friends, so I don't see this trait as something special. Even my one friend who recommended the game didn't finish it. He wound up getting bored towards the end. So all in all, it's a pretty generic hack and slash. If this is your type of thing, then I get it, but I do suggest starting off in a harder mode than the standard one. My experience in finding the standard mode too easy doesn't seem to be unique, because after I got bored, I did look up how the tale ends. People were saying that the end boss is decently hard, but that was expressed in ways such as saying, "I actually died once." The fact that dying is a rare occurrence for most players ought to give a hint about how easy it is. But to be sure about its difficulty, I also tried Googling Torchlight 2 is too easy, and I found many search results for that. Some people find veteran mode too hard, but the general consensus seems to be that the difficulty levels are all labeled one step above what they actually are. So casual is baby, normal is casual, veteran is normal, and elite is hard. The in-game descriptions for these difficulty modes don't quite fit either. Normal mode's description implies complexity, but there isn't much. Veteran says that extra time may be needed to progress, and I think that might mean that even if you mess up your build, you could still normally progress on normal mode, because on normal mode, I entered zones before I was properly leveled up for them and still wiped out all the enemies without without an issue. I didn't even die once, and I was taking on things that, according to the level system, I shouldn't have been able to be ready for. But even on a higher difficulty, I don't think that I'd enjoy Torchlight 2 on single player, and I think that I'd find other multiplayer games out there more fun. I prefer games that have a greater sense of story. If you're just looking for a generic hack and slash, then I'd say it's a solid 5 out of 10 and okay play. But if you're like me and you prefer some flavor, story, or memorable anything to go along with that sort of gameplay, then I think it quickly goes down to a 3 out of 10. I played Diablo and Diablo 2 many years ago, and I still remember details like Deckard Cain, the cool way Tyrael's wings looked, and so on. I don't think that Torchlight 2 has the same sort of soul. And on a side note, some elements in Torchlight 2 are a little weird. I thought that this might be a good game for kids, given its cartoony elements and ease of play, but then sometimes notice stuff like this, which isn't exactly appropriate for kids under 10 to keep running into, and especially when it comes to little girl gamers, having to run into this kind of thing all the time. While, of course, one thing doesn't annoy everybody in a group, this kind of thing did annoy me as a kid. So if you have a daughter or a niece, or you are a little girl watching this, heads up on that.